pull up a dictionary, right? And you look up sacrifice. And I'm going to try and not be super redundant and repetitive, but by saying the same word over and over. And you look it up, it gives a couple different definitions, all pretty similar, but the first one is an offering, right? And this is where like I've struggled with it, and I've had to think a lot about it because so I grew up Catholic, and I don't think I think a lot of religions share similar principles, whatever it may be. But like for in my faith, it is you have Lent, right? So like the big joke would be like you give up like donuts during Lent, 40 days of Lent, right? Leading up to Easter. And as a kid, I think it was a really good principle and a foundation, right? To build. So I enjoyed the principle, but as you get older, you're kind of like, it's kind of BS a little bit. Like, what are you really doing this for? And even now as we're older, right? Like, or as I'm older, I'd always have like a negative view around it because people would look at sacrifice or express like I'm making a sacrifice in such a negative way. Like, if you're angry at your kids, right, you'd say, look at how much I'm sacrificing for you, or like I could have done something else, but I chose to do it. It's just it just comes off so negative, and that doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't speak to me. And then when you relate it to like making an offering, with the example of Lent, or again like dry January or something, which is like a common thing people do now, which again, whatever you want to do, I'm not knocking it, it's all good, and it's a good foundational piece, but it just if it is a stepping stone to you improving and getting better, I'm all for it. Where I think people get hung up is they use it as a self-gratification. I sacrificed doing this for 30 days. I sacrificed 30 days, no social media. And now I'm going to post that on social media. I'm going to get a bunch of likes and I'm going to feel good about myself and, whatever. Or I went a week without eating candy or whatever it may be. It just seems so like low bar that it never really spoke to me, right? But again, I'm not knocking people that it's a starting point. The foundation and the principle is important. But unless you keep challenging yourself, and unless you think of, well, what am I sacrificing for, and why am I doing this, and what is the purpose of it? That's where the enlightenment piece comes in, and that's where you can really start doing some serious damage in a good way, right? So the other definitions of sacrifice are, in the old biblical sense, is like a ritual killing, which I understand is metaphorical. There's a metaphor behind that in terms of like sacrificing flesh, whatever it may be, sacrificing part of yourself. And the other definition would be suffering a loss, right? So same thing, which is kind of like sacrificing yourself. So when you piece all those together, right, you take the elementary version of like, I'm going to give up soda for a week. And you split the difference between I'm going to sacrifice up a lamb, or sacrifice my child, or sacrifice flesh, right? And you land somewhere in the terms of like, okay, I need to break down, myself. There is parts of myself that I need to let go. And there's parts of myself I need to, kill, or let die. Maybe that's a better way to do it, to look at it, right? Because that opens up for growth. That opens up for new life, right? Again, I alluded to before that none of this is meant to be super religious. I grew up Catholic. I stepped away from it because I think reasons that a lot of people have or did, and maybe we'll go into it another time. But I think it's pretty just during your youth, your college years and this and that in high school, and just you kind of, you're more nihilistic and self-serving, and you're like, this is kind of stupid, whatever it may be, right? And then, but it really is hard to kind of look at it now and not understand, like, the underlying tones or principles of, like, Jesus sacrificing his life, God sacrificing his son, sacrificing flesh, sacrificing part of yourself, whatever it may be, to open up for new birth. And I think that's kind of the concept that clicked with me as of recent. And I got away from the old school, like, give up the donuts for Lent for the last time, and figured out, like, okay, what is the salvation I'm seeking? And if I can focus on the proper aim, then I don't have to feel guilty about this being like a self-serving thing, because selfishness to me is, I don't know, I really dislike selfishness. But there's a fine line. I mean, anytime you're doing something for yourself, how is that not selfish, kind of, right? But you can't do everything for everybody and not do anything for yourself, right? I mean, I know, like, brushing my teeth to keep my teeth clean is not selfish, but if you're doing a low bar offering, giving something up, you're doing it because, like, you then it makes you feel good. And if making you feel good is kind of the only reward, and that's the salvation, that's, I don't know, that itself is similar to any other addiction, right? It's like it's a dopamine feeling. It's like, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good. I'm doing this because the reaction I got from it. I'm doing it because the praise, the flattery, what people thought about it, right? Versus, like, I'm doing this for the long-term benefit that I might not see today. I'm doing this because I should do this. I'm doing this because this is what's right to do. And I'm doing this because I'm a leader and people are going to watch me, and I'm going to be a role model. And even saying it like that does sound a little weird to me to say, but being, a little, self-gratification. But as long as the aim, I believe, is true and the intent is true, then I think that's where in my mind I can rectify it and it can be there. So, part of this whole exercise and experiment for me, again, is like reordering my priorities, right? I think I have a very good moral foundation. I'll just speak for myself on that. And I think you have to have that to be pointed in the right direction. But, you got to reprioritize and reorder and speak these out to go, to kind of walk through it to help you organize and move forward. So, I think the biggest thing would be, focus on that higher meaning, that higher power, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be religious, but, like, what the higher meaning, what you're looking to accomplish, and the sacrifice, that's the salvation piece, the freedom that you're going to get. It's the journey. It's the journey of this whole thing, right? It's not, I did this and I'm getting a reward right away. It's not, it's the greater reward is the future because of the foundation you laid and this process of continuously letting parts of yourself die to regrow and open up for growth and just self-improvement, whatever it may be. So sacrifice should be looked at in a positive light. It should not be looked at like this is a penance or something I have to do. I have to give something up to be a good boy, to make up for all the sins I did. If you frame the mindset around, I want to be a good person in the future, I'm going to start this and I'm going to do these things today, then I think you'll find the right path.